Hood Postman, City, Hood, click. Let's go.
Hood postman. Do you understand? Hood postman. Making peace in the land. Keep your head high, let the homies inspire. Turn pain into purpose, rise above the fire. From the streets to the mic, the wisdom is real. Hood postman teaching lessons you can feel. Every chant, every word, every scratch, every beat. West Coast energy, you can't compete. The streets are made for everyone, that's why they created sidewalks. Turn my circle into a square, that way I can see who's in my corner. The lion and the tiger may be more powerful, but you ain't never seen a wolf perform in the circus. Kings don't wrestle with clowns. Cool, cool. Holla, 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 holla. Hood postman, hood postman. Hood postman, make it understand. Hood postman. He doing what I had. Hood postman. Do you understand?
Lock the door. Shout out to the Mailroom Nation and the Mailroom Goons. Be sure to click that notification bell, like, subscribe, and share. Drop a comment down below so when the dope content hit, it'll feel like the first of the 15. Welcome to the Mailroom. When you come in, take a look at your mind, examine what's in your heart. You can go anywhere in the world to get a couple of lives, but you come right here to get the truth, and the truth you will see. This is not a glorification or a glamorization. It's always an education. Get on the bus and let me take you to school. There go that horn, right? That's the bus, right? Y'all know what it is. Listen, guys, the world doesn't reward confusion. It rewards clarity, focus, and control. That's it. That's what the world rewards. So if you ain't on that, man, I don't know what to tell you, man, because there's a lot of hyperbole on these YouTube streets and social media. Other words, exaggerated, extreme exaggeration. That's what hyperbole is, when people just extremely with the exaggeration. It's chicanery, trickery by gain of advantage. Those are the words for the day. So hyperbole and chicanery. And we're here today with a guy from the, what is it? The notorious, now I ain't gonna even say notorious, I'm just gonna say the sex jerks. See, let me provide you with a little background first before we get started. Oh, we got my guy Sycamore Sicc in the house. There was a time where while gangs was going on, there was the KODs, King of Drags, the MBTs, Nothing But Trouble, and then you had your sex jerks. These was a group of individuals that operated outside of gang culture, but was inside of gang culture, right? Neighboring, often in the same communities, but doing two very different things. And we got my guy Sycamore Sicc in the house to sort of explain what that was. Welcome to the Mailroom, Sicc. What's going on,
Thank
bro?
you. Hey man, I love that introduction. All of it from the start to that personal introduction. What's going on now, man, is I came here to bring some information about what you just described, that alternate culture within that lifestyle. So man, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely. My first question, though, but how did you guys survive with all that gang warfare? Because you guys are predominantly, what area? Let's give the boundaries of the sex jerks, so we know exactly where they was at.
Well, I'll tell you what, from my understanding, the origination of it was at Washington High School. So from Washington High School, it expanded, that's considered South Central. We, in my crew, we were considered the Westside sex jerks, and our boundaries was Hollywood, Beverly Hills, West LA, in that area. So yeah, we were everywhere, man, pretty much during that time, all over that part of Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. So how were you guys able to survive the gang politics, or did you survive it?
You looking at me live and direct. We definitely survived it, and eventually we got caught up directly into the gang culture, but we kept our name. Some of the guys did. Some of the guys, they got, because we were so influenced by that, man. We were surrounded by it, and eventually some of us gave into that.
Define sex jerks for the people who don't know.
Sex jerks, if I can define it for what I experienced, was this: a group of guys and girls who came up with an alternative presentation of what the LA lifestyle was, and I'm gonna give you an idea of what that was for us. When I came along, uh, the style of the dress code was like the Five Heartbeats, the classic Temptations, where we had the tapered pants, the high top fades. You know, we wore cardigans and sweaters and turtlenecks, and we were dressed like that. We were more clean because we wanted to distinguish ourselves between your everyday gangbanger from the Pendletons, the Chucks, and the sagging khakis. So we were trying to distinguish ourselves so we wouldn't get confused with a regular gangbanger. So we tried to separate ourselves through our style.
So you the guys I used to see at the Kappa House in this Consolidated Plaza, y'all had that preppy look, right?
Exactly, exactly. If you remember that, we definitely wasn't. And compared to you, man, we were babies. We were babies, man. If you saw us there, we were little kids, man. I graduated
Yeah,
in '87. So
yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
'87, you probably was
But
way down there, man.
but you do remember the Kappa House in Consolidated Plaza, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Don Felipe. I think it was on Don Felipe Drive, and Kappa House was on Crenshaw.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was, sir. It definitely was. And I wasn't privileged enough to go there too often. I maybe went there maybe once or twice to the Cap House, but I did attend a lot of parties around the area that were Uncle Jam's Army, things like that. We definitely were there. We definitely there.
So was
Ultra
that
Wave,
that part of the house movement too, where it was house? What was the house party, house music, or
the
houser?
house. The house music came along later because I believe the house music came out of the East Coast and like Chicago, and that kind of formed a little later for us. Like I said, we were influenced by Uncle Jam's Army, Ultra Wave, and what was going on with the music in LA. That's we were definitely influenced by that music. We love to dance,
Okay,
man.
okay. So tell us about the sex jerk, because many people I saw somebody in the chat to them out. What is that?
We got that a lot. We got that a lot because it was a funny name. It brought questions because people were like, man, what the heck is a sex jerk? Because we didn't. They was like, man, you had
Shout out to
Bloods, you had
RDL.
Crips. Yeah, you had Bloods, you had Crips, and we didn't fall into that category at the time. So it was like, well, who are you guys? What are you talking about? So people didn't take us serious, but we were very serious about what we were doing, but people did not take us serious in the beginning.
So what was that struggle like? Was it more so out and about, or was it happening at the high schools when people was like did they kind of just outright reject it or what?
Well, I tell you this. Amongst the real gang culture, we those were our cousins and our brothers and our neighbors. So they saw us doing what we were doing. They accepted us for who we were because like I said, we were friends, and we all went to school together as kids. So as we grew up, and people were choosing which gang they were going to join, and some of us stayed independent. Then we come out with this. They were like, "What's that, homie? What's this sex church you talking about, or KOD or any other clique at the time?" that wanted to be different, And so I would say we were all friends, man. We were all commingling, you know.
So people when they hear the term sex jerk, they automatically think something crazy.
I
So
agree. It was, it was because the first time I heard it, I was like, "What the heck is that?" Because up until then, up until I first heard about it, I give you this from my community, it was all Crips. The community that I grew up in, you had Midtown, which where the schoolyards were, all the way to Venice and Santa Monica Beach with a number of Crips. So and SA. So anything over there, then we come out with this sex jerk stuff. It was like, man, what is that? Where are you coming from with this stuff? But me and my homie brought it over there to the West Side like that, and that's where people started questioning, what is that?
who were the creators of the sex jerks?
To be honest with you, sir, I really don't know. I just know that there was the big homie Sexual, there was Sins, Arvon, and those guys can give you more of their history like that. I came under Lil Jerk from the Sex Jerks. That was the first time
Uh-huh.
I ever heard the term. And funny story about Lil Jerk is the first time I met him was on Pico in Orange Drive, and I was with a couple of homies from my hood, and one of them was from Mansfield, and one of them became Sycc from Marvin. We were walking down the street, and we saw this little funny looking guy. He just had a funny look about him, and so my initial thought was, I'm finna jack this kid because I didn't know who he was. He was new to my neighborhood, and well, he wasn't new to the neighborhood. I just hadn't met him yet, but my other little partner had knew him somewhat. So we saw this kid, and we approached him, and my thought was finna jack this dude. Well, that dude caught the vibes, and then he pulled out a cannon. We were kids, and this dude pulled out a cannon, right? So I had to reconsider my actions and thoughts because I didn't have a cannon. He did, and so once he calmed us down, he got to asking us questions like, "Who are we?" And he was new to the neighborhood, and we became friends after that. And yeah, man. And so eventually, he became my best friend, and that was Lil
Oh
Jerk from
wow.
Sex Jerks. Yeah, that became my best friend, man, for a very long time, and he turned me on to the Sex Jerk game. Hmm.
So if you can, who came up with that name? I'm trying to because that name is like, where did they get that from? Sex jerk. How did that even come about?
Well, from my understanding, they originally began as prep jerks at Washington High School. They were prep jerks. So
Oh
they
yeah,
they
because it's Washington High Preparatory High School.
I
That
didn't
makes
I
sense.
didn't get that connection. Well, you put it together for me. I never made that connection, sir. This is the first time I heard it that way, or maybe I forgot. But because we go into the '80s, I'm in my '50s, man, and I left that stuff alone in '89. So a lot of that history it is beyond me, and that's just being honest. And what I can do though, I can eventually get these guys together, and we can tell that history as far as that goes. But I don't know, to be honest with you.
Did you guys ever get pressured? Like, I mean, what was it? Was there a pressure like, hey man, y'all got to choose up, bro. Either y'all gonna be Crips or y'all gonna be Bloods. All this sex jerk, we see what y'all saying over here, but
Hmm.
we really don't like it. What y'all gonna do?
Well, that came around for some people in different communities, but over in West LA, I really didn't have that problem because a lot of those guys were my friends and childhood friends, and they just thought it was cool what we were doing. They liked our style, they liked our presentation, and they knew we wasn't no busters, so they accepted it. Because I still walked with them every day. I lived with them every day on the block, and I wasn't trying to interfere with what they were doing. We wasn't out on the block selling dope or taking none of their business or doing interfering with what they had going on. So it was no problem for us on the west side.
Yeah, because double the one put me on to you, my boy. Shout out to the man, the double man, and Westside Stunner, man, Day, man. Y'all know the famous Raymond himself. Uh,
Yeah, he was on my street. They was on my street.
what was so about Sycamore? Because that was a street over there, Sycamore on the west side. Tell us about Sycamore. What was happening on Sycamore?
Well, that's a very famous street in LA because what was on that street was the world famous Okie Dog. And I don't know if you're familiar with Okie Dog, the restaurant.
Uh,
Are you?
yeah,
Well,
I'm
that
familiar.
that was on our street. So everybody would pull up to get an Okie dog. And for those who don't know what an Okie dog is, it's a big old burrito with pastrami, chili, hot dogs, cheese, and any other little ingredients that you added. But the main is what I just said. So that was what an Okie dog was. For y'all who don't know, LA loves some pastrami. And believe it or not, LA loves some
That's
pastrami.
true.
You
That's
know.
true. That's true. And that was shout out to Travis. That was and everybody else that's joined us in the trap. Donald, I see you in there. RDL, you my guy. You got there. Vonda the Great. I see you. What's going on? So what schools did you guys just went to Washington, or you went also to Fairfax and some of the other schools that was on the west side?
I attended Los Angeles High School. That
Oh,
that
San
was my home. That was my home school, the school that's named after the city. But we had homies everywhere. Sometimes I would be at Fairfax, sometimes I would be at Hamilton. Then you had homies at Palisades, Uni, Westchester. Definitely at those schools we attended. In Hollywood High School, we was all around there, man. We touched all of those schools.
Man, that's what's up, man.
Definitely.
What were some of the things you guys would get into though?
Well, I'm gonna say it this way for those who are listening. Uh, Fashion was one that was definitely we had our own unique fashion. We were definitely into dancing because, like I said, we attended all the Uncle Jam's Army, and all the ultra waves and doing the dance contests and dance events. But one thing that we did do, the name says sex jerk. So I'm gonna say it like this: we got more coochie than Kotex, and that's a fact. Yeah, true story. True story. More coochie than
I knew
Kotex.
that had to have something to do with it. I just didn't, because I'm like, why they call themselves sex jerks?
Man, because they was giving it up. They was giving it up, and y'all was too hard for them. Well, y'all, I'm talking about those guys. They was a little too stiff for them, but we had that style, we had that conversation, and it wasn't hard. They was choosing. They were choosing, and that's a fact.
Okay. So what were some of the fun things y'all did?
All of that, man. We would what was fun for us was we were just under a real gangbanger, just on the edge. You know what I'm saying? We had fights. We did our thing, and we had a lot of fights. I tell you that, man. There was a lot of fighting going on, buddy. We fighting dang near every day, whether it was
'Cause
amongst
I know that
ourselves or amongst them.
the MBTs and nothing but trouble. They eventually became Hoovers, didn't they?
Man, that's beyond me. The things that was running around at the time that I was active, from like say 84, 85 to 87. The guys that I was notoriously in competition with was the KODs, the King of Drags. I would say out of everybody, that was probably my number one opponent as far as what I got into. Then you had the
Right.
posers, you had the posers, and you had other little cliques, man. But those, to me, the top three was the sex jerks, the KODs, and the posers. Anybody that want to claim they own after that, claim it. I can't dispute it.
Right. But then the sex jerks, I think they got a lot of pressure from the 6 O's.
That clique was the West Flats. That was in their community. Those particular sex jerks were known as the West Flats sex jerks, which were in their community, were in the Crenshaw community. Then you had the South Flats, which was over in the A-Tray gangsters in the Hoover community. They was over there. We was on the West Side. So we were the third ones to come about. We were the third ones. So the South Flats was the originators. The West Flats were after that. And then here we come, the West Side sex jerks. And that's where I come in the game. So they was already
Man.
established by the time I got there.
So what year we talking? What year we talking? The initial start of sex jerk.
I would say those guys probably was 83, 84 with the prep jerks, and then they kind of, turned over into the sex jerks. So I can't forget the history of the prep jerks. It's all connected because those guys were the starters of sex jerks.
Okay.
So it all goes together. It just, the name changed. The guys
I
remained the
think
same, but the name
the sex
changed.
jerks, the sex jerks, and the prep jerks, and the guest mob was up there at Washington High. There was a group up there called the guest mob too.
All right, well, you introduced me to that. I didn't know. I
Yeah,
didn't know about them. I didn't
yeah. I
know. I didn't
follow
go
this
over there
stuff,
too
man.
much. Yes,
I ain't new to it.
yeah,
I'm true to it.
that's right. That's right. Well, that was over my head because, like I said, I came on the west side, and every now and then we would go over there to the South Flats, and I met the homies like that in the West Flats, and I met a
Crenshaw
lot of
Grinder,
those
what
homies
up?
over there.
Hyde Park area too. He
You
said
know,
Hyde Park area too. Right on, Crenshaw
yeah,
Grinder. I appreciate it.
exactly. That's definitely one of the main spots was Hyde Park. Where whenever we visited the West Flats, we was definitely over there on Hyde Park, and I still got some homies over there on Hyde Park to this day.
Well, in terms of membership, how would you figure? What would you figure the number? What was y'all number?
As I came into the scene, I say we probably was about 50 to 60 deep, and then they definitely grew from there because, like I said, we had three clicks. We had
Oh,
three clicks, and they were pretty deep in the South Flats. That was the main guys, and then you had the West Flats, and they were pretty deep as well. But in my side, the West Flats, I mean West Side, we probably was no more than 20 25 deep. That's about it. We weren't that deep, but we definitely were impactful.
did y'all ever get into like any gang skirmishes or fights or like, yeah, man, y'all got into it with the Pyrus or y'all got into it with the Brims or y'all got into it with the Crips? I mean, because now you repping something, right? Sex jerks, but then there's
Yeah,
already these core gangs that's already existing, like the Bloods, the Crips, the Pyrus, the Hoovers. They're already existing. So they're looking around trying to figure out what's the angle, Of course, right?
Right. It definitely happened, but like I said, when I got into it with those guys, I handled it differently, man, because I was raised with a whole bunch of Crips, and so I knew the lingo, I knew to get down. I mean, I wasn't intimidated by none of that, and neither was my homies on the West Side. So we weren't intimidated by that. We just knew how to play the game and stay out their way, and let them know that this is sex, jerk, homie. We ain't got nothing to do with what y'all talking about, and y'all can try to get down on us if y'all want to, but you're gonna have a problem on your hands. So, because we was ready to get down with whoever, and they man, wasn't no punking over there. Not on my side. It wasn't happening.
I see how you lean though. You lean that way because when I look at your name, I don't see no K's.
Well, there it is. Like I say, I grew up in a neighborhood. It wasn't nothing but Crips from Midtown all the way to Venice Beach, man. That's a very long, and I couldn't run around there in my hood talking about some SICK. They wasn't having it. They would have, man, you got to change that, homie. And so I already knew before I even got out there like that it wasn't allowed. I either had to take the K off or SIC, but I put the extra C on there just because.
Right. Well, I know this, man. You can't climb the mountain if your mind is in disorder. I know that much.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, like I said, and we were walking distance from Beverly Hills, man. We could walk to Beverly Hills in our
And
community.
so, since you say you was walking distance, what was that like being up at the Beverly Center, hanging out in Beverly Hills? What was that like for you guys?
Well, the Mansfields had all that. That was the Mansfield Hustlers. That they had all of that. So walking
But
around there with
Sycamore
them,
is
you know,
actually in their neighborhood. Am I correct?
correct, absolutely, absolutely, because Mansfield is 2 streets over. right where Roscoe's was. Mansfield was two
Um,
streets over.
So how did
So
they
that's
react
definitely
to you
taking
guys?
place.
Since you guys was right there, how did the Mansfield react to the sex jerks?
We had no problems with them. Like I said, I went to school with these guys, elementary, junior high. So them was the homies in the neighborhood. And then I had the Raymonds on my block. Before the Raymonds came over there, you had Westside hustlers. You had guys that was just independent, that was just hustlers. So I mean,
Yeah, I've
I grew
never
up in the
talked to
community.
Dirty Clyde about the West Side Raymond's. A lot of people don't know some West Side Raymond's way over near the Mansfields and the Playboy Gangsters.
And the Marvins, yeah. And that was on my street. That was on Sycamore. They
I was
was
on
on
Sycamore.
my street. That was on Sycamore. That's where they
Okay.
predominantly hung out, on my street. Yeah. So I come out this house every day and I'm walking up the street, walking through the alleys. Them was my partners. So still to this day. So I mean, th- they came after. I grew up on that street. From elementary school to I left. I grew up on that street. So it was before the Raymonds came over there. It was all kinds of West Side stuff over there. Yeah. Mhm.
Did you guys ever suffer any losses from people just okay, man, we don't know, we just gonna cap on these dudes. Like dudes
You
busting
know,
at you.
I'm sure that happened, but I can't think of anybody that lost their life that I can recall. It's some historians. I'm more of a my story guy, but it's some guys that can tell his story. I'm more of a my story guy when it
Okay,
comes to all of that.
let's give us an impactful moment about your story that happened in sex jerks that you can share on the internet.
Well, I shared this story with Mr. Wiggins, and this is a crazy story that you know what? I'm gonna tell this story because it's crazy, and it'll give you an idea of who I was as a person. Um, One particular day in the '80s, I I started my day off thinking I was gonna go audition for New Edition, even though I didn't know if they had any auditions. I felt like I wanted to be part of New Edition, man, because I was just a big fan of New Edition. So there was a homie
So
named Tease in the West Flats.
You was just finna Bo Billy your way up in New Edition, huh?
Hey man, I wanted to be part of New Edition like a lot of other kids did, man. I really wanted to
Yes,
be from New
sir. Yes,
Edition,
sir. No,
man.
I get it. I get it.
That was a fantasy I had. So this particular day, man, I put on the cutest little outfit I could put on, and then I made my way over to the West Flats. looking for Mr. T's. Mr. T's was like Google back in the day. If it was something going on in the city, Mr. T's was the plug. You know, back in the day,
Okay.
that was our plug. If you needed to know anything about a party, he would hit you up and say, "Hey man, this girl like you. I don't even know the girl, but this girl would like you." T's was that guy. He knew everything about. I don't know how he knew all the shit that he knew, but this dude was the plug. So I linked up with T's and a couple of other homies in the West Flats, and we talking about whatever we talking about. And so we got to talking about the KODs and how they was up at Crenshaw for summer school. So somehow we got lifted and we got right, and they was talking about they over there. So I was like, shoot, let's go. Even though I didn't have on the right clothes for this, I didn't think we were gonna get. I thought we was gonna do a drive by. Be honest with you, I thought we was gonna do a drive by, not a drive by shooting, but just a drive by gang banging. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what's up? You know, throwing it up and stuff like that. I thought we was gonna do that. So not to hurt anybody. So that's clear. I didn't think we was gonna do a drive by shooting. So we get over there, and because I was a fighter, I wasn't a shooter, I wasn't a stabber. I was hands and feet. That was what I did. So we get over there, and I'm like, where are they? Where they at? And the homie was like, there they go. I'm in the back seat. So I tell them to stop the car. So they stopped the car, and the homie was in the front seat. I'm in the back seat. So I hops out the car because he leaned forward, opened the door, let me out. Well, as I hop out the car, I'm looking around. I'm doing like a 180. I look to the left, I look to the right, but I never look behind me. I'm focused on what's in front of me. So, these kids look at me like, who is you, fool? So I throw it up. I let them know. It's a sex shirt. So I let them know. And they like, well, what you gonna do? I'm like, no, we came up here to whoop y'all. I'm trying not to cuss. So I said, we came up here to whoop y'all butts. So they was like, we, who is we? I said, me and the homies. So they was like, what homies? So I said, me and the homies. And they said, what homies? So as I'm like looking around, I realized I'm by myself. This was the crazy part. So as I told the story before, man, I'm not a very fast runner. I'm pretty slow compared to a lot of people. So as I said, I went to school with Mr. Larry Brown, the Super Bowl MVP from the Dallas Cowboys. He went to LA High with us, and that was the homie. We played football together and all that. So I wasn't as fast as that guy. So I realized that I was in trouble because I was surrounded by these kids, and I didn't know who was who. I just got told that they were KODs, and I knew all of them wasn't. So anyway, that's when I said, man, you know what? I'm gonna have to fight these guys. So I looked for the biggest kid I could find. I looked for the biggest kid I could find, and I started charging the crowd. I got my nuts up, and I started charging the crowd, and I bust on the biggest guy. Pow! And when I bust on him, the crowd just collapsed on top of me, man. And now I'm at the bottom of this pile. Kids are stomping me, they punching me, they giving me the business, man. And at the moment, I just knew I was gonna die because there was no way out, man. I was surrounded. There was too many of them, and they was really working me. And so as they working me, they hitting each other because it's a melee, right? They
Uh huh.
going crazy. They going crazy, and they just stomping. They got to the point where they was stomping and punching each other. Well, the big guy's on top of me, and he's screaming like, man, y'all hit me. And this other kid's talking about y'all hit me, stop, stop. Well, I couldn't do that. So only thing I could do was like, get small as I can get. Well, in the meantime, this is what's going on. I started mauling the guy on top of me. And when I say maul him, I started biting him and grabbing his balls because there's nothing I could do. Hey, Mel, hey, there's nothing I could do. I just put
And now
deep
you gotta
pressure
do
all
what you
up
gotta
in him.
do to get up out the situation.
Man, or I was gonna leave some marks before I go. You know what I mean? Somebody was gonna identify marks in his body, say, yeah, he was there. You know what I mean? I was gonna leave T marks in this guy, and that's the only way they was gonna identify me. And so he's screaming, and so as this going on, all of a sudden we hear a pop, and so the crowd jumps off for a second. They pause, and did nothing happen. So they got back to working on me. They beat me again, blah blah blah, and somebody lets off again, another shot, pow. So this time the crowd really reacts, and everybody just, they really get off me because they trying to find out where the shooter coming from and who's the target. So he lets off again. Well, now the crowd starts running, right? And I kind of ease my way to a safe spot, and because I don't know who the shooter is. I'm thinking it's one of my partners, but it wasn't. It was some little kid, little light skinned kid, short with a backpack. I saw him. because he had the gun in his hand, but he had the gun like this, and he was messing with the gun. Nobody rushed him. Everybody ran different directions trying to get away. So um, in this meantime, I try to creep towards him because I realized that his gun was jammed, and so I'm trying to creep towards him because I'm like, I need that gun. I need that gun. So, um, I wasn't gonna shoot nobody, but they was gonna get up off me and give me some space. So, while this is going on, a kid jumps in front of me trying to fight me. Like, I'm like, man, are you serious, man? All this going on? You really still trying
Shout
to
out to
fight me?
Inglewood Legends. Right,
So,
right.
so this kid is trying to fight me, and so we got to boxing, and so dude let off again. Wow. So we stopped fighting. I checked myself. I'm like, checking myself to see if I got hit. I didn't feel nothing, but sometimes that happens. You don't really know you got hit until later sometimes. So as this is going on, I don't get no hit. So the dude in front of me, we re-engaged now, and he talking about some timeout. Kid like timeout. Man, this is weird. So I'm like, if he need a timeout, I need a timeout too. So I took the timeout, and then I re-engaged, tapped him up, blah, 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 and then I got on. And now I'm chasing the shooter. The shooter run, and he went towards Crenshaw. I chase him towards Crenshaw. Well, when I get to Crenshaw, I look to my right, and it's a pile of kids beating the brakes off of somebody. And I'm like, cool. They distracted. They beating that dude up. Good for him. Like, it ain't me. And I see my partners drive by, and they whistle, whatever. They tell me to hop in the car. So I hops in the car. And as I look around, I realize one person's missing. I'm like, where Rumble at? My homeboy Rumble. I said, where Rumble at? Man, this was crazy. They said that's Rumble over there getting beat. I'm like, no, it can't be.
Oh
So I said,
no.
yeah, man. I say, stop the car. So they stops the car. I hop out the car, and I'm running up because I'm going to get my homeboy. So they stop the car. I run over here. Security guard, it's a gun in my face. Freeze. I'm like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, they beat my homeboy. He's like, that's what you get. Y'all shouldn't have came up here. I'm like, whatever, man. I was like, get him off my homeboy. He was like, nope, I'm gonna let him beat him. I was like, come on, man. And you should have heard the punches, man. It was like, man, you could hear the punches, man. They were solid punches. Was giving them the works, man. It made me mad, man. And I felt for the homie. So eventually, I got tired of that, and I pushed the gun on my face, and I run over there, and I started snatching fools off my homie. And it was the adrenaline, man. It was the adrenaline, man. And I had so much adrenaline, and I know the security guard seeing all them knots on my face, and I had two black eyes. Well, they wasn't black at that time, but next day or two they became two black eyes. But I had knots everywhere, clothes was ripped up. I looked like I had been worked over.
Hey,
So
what area was the KODs in though?
they was over there in the '60s neighborhood. They was definitely in the '60s. I'm
Okay.
sure. That was like where most of them cats came from out the '60s, and definitely from what I understand. And some of them they was from all over. As a matter of fact, they was from all over,
Was they in the
just like
flats
us.
or were they in the overhills?
I believe they was in the overhills, overhills and off of 60th and Crenshaw, over there off Dean Ave. They was some of them over there. They was pretty much all over there. Now, don't get me to tell you everything about where they was, because I wasn't over there messing with them like that. When I got into it with them, it was out in the streets, in common places. I didn't go over there messing with them guys, and they didn't come on Sycamore messing with me. I promise you that. Never.
Uh,
They ain't never came on the west side messing with me like. I just caught them dudes out traffic because they knew where I was at, but they never ever came over there in my community with none of that. It would have been a major problem because I was homies with everybody over there,
so
from
what
the
year did
PBGs to
Sex
the
Jerks,
Marvins.
are they still active or did they come to an end?
Sex Jerks is still very active. They expanded and moved around the country. They in different cities and states now.
Really?
Definitely. Oh man, they all over the place now. Yeah, some of those guys, they had to get up out of LA, and they took what they had in LA with them, just like every other culture in LA. Wherever they went, they started up whatever they left. You know how it go.
Man, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Mhm. Yeah, they pretty much expanded to all over this big country. They all over the place. Indeed.
Well, still, man. Listen, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm glad you was able to come on and share your story. We'll do it again, and we'll pick a different time frame because sometime I was really just testing the market, see if I do it earlier, would that be better? But usually my time frame is between 4 and 6 o'clock, where the audience is a lot more people is probably off of work or whatever. But we'll try it
Yeah,
again, and because
definitely.
you tell an interesting story, so you definitely got a history, and then a lot of people they're unaware of who the sex jerks are. So we'll do it again, man. I appreciate you.
I would love to continue on and share with you if you're interested. It's a lot more to
Yes, sir.
tell, brother. A lot more to
Yes, sir.
tell.
Well, shout out to Sycamore Sicc, sex jerks, man. He's still in there, man. Where you at now? You somewhere else though now, huh?
Man, I'm in Texas. Look, I left Los Angeles in '89, and I have never lived in California since then. So for anybody that's listening and think I'm on some BS, I am not. That is part of my history. I don't have any ill feelings toward anybody from that era. If you made it out, I love you, and if you didn't, I love you. You know what I mean? It don't
All
change.
right,
It don't
right.
change.
I
So.
appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us, and we'll do it again. Right on, Henry. Thanks for joining us, man. You know, Henry, I'm a little earlier, man. I just was testing the market. But anyway,
There
we'll
we
get back
go.
to you. Sycamore Sicc, man. Where can they find you on social media if they want to contact you or something?
They can't because I ain't active like that.
Ah, see?
Yeah, how
Okay,
about
bro.
that? How about that?
We'll talk soon, my guy.
All right. Thank you very much, y'all. Have a great day.
Have a great day, man. That's Sycamore
Done.
Sicc, y'all. That's Sycamore Sicc, man.
From the
I
west
don't know.
side, from the west side, from the
On
west
the west
side.
side.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. All right. Peace.
Peace.
I'm going to let you disconnect.
Let's see. Man, that's Sycamore Sicc right there, y'all. He was out there doing his thing, guys. So, he decided to jump up in the mail room. That's where we at, right? Uh, yeah, I'm just trying to find out, where we going from here. But once again, man, I appreciate each and every last one of you, man. That was my El Camino in the background right there to do that. But once again, shout out to the Mailroom Nation, the Mailroom Goons. I am Professor Melly Mail from the east side to the west side of Compton. Wherever else it may seem to be, lock the goddamn door and say no more.
Cali Finest, baby. Proof of grind all the time. Music money. Got a dollar sign. Hub City. I'm a street nigga, streets fuck with me. I'ma keep pushing products till the fans get me. It's guap off top, diamond Cartier. That nigga wall won't give a pro bitch the time of day. They see me climbing, they see me shining. That's hard work, proof of grinding. New money got me tipping in that 550. I leave bad man and I'm so pretty. I got that check with me. That's my hater sprayer. Go big, grind now, nigga, play later. What can I say? I'm addicted to this paper stacking. And I don't talk about it, I just make it happen. Word on the block is that my shit go. Reach for the low.
Lock the door, cause we are gone.